My husband made the joke loud enough for the next table to hear. "Relax," he said, waving his fork. "If I leave her, I'll still cover dessert." Someone snorted. Someone filmed. I pressed my thumb into the edge of the menu and felt the paper bend. Chicago steakhouses are not quiet places, and this one had witnesses everywhere. At 8:11 p.m., my phone lit up with a notification from our joint account. I tilted the screen just enough to read the number twice. It matched the amount he once said was untouchable. I smiled, thanked the waiter, and realized the joke was not the worst part. The candle guttered, wax sliding toward the white plate like it had somewhere to be. I set my phone face down beside my water glass and folded my napkin again. Smoothing fabric had always been my tell. If I kept my hands busy, my face stayed neutral. The joke wasn't funny, the timing was. Connor leaned back, already rehearsing the story he would tell later. Jada stared at her breadbasket like it had personally offended her. Priya's eyes flicked from my face to my husband's wrist, then to mine. Miles wiped the bar in a slow, patient line, listening without looking. I nodded when the waiter asked about another round. I did not look at my husband. Looking would have invited a follow-up, a second punch wrapped in humor. Instead, I counted breaths and watched the red folder tab peek from my purse. That folder had lived with me for years. Insurance statements, dental schedules, boring, necessary things. I slid it deeper under the table with my shoe and crossed my ankles. The check came folded, heavier than it needed to be. I reached for it out of habit, then stopped myself. My husband's hand covered it first, confident, practiced. He signed with a flourish that made Renee pause at the edge of the table. "Everything okay?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes," I said, because yes was easier than explaining no. Renee nodded and moved on, policy satisfied. I laughed once. I stopped forever. When the plates cleared, my phone vibrated again. I did not turn it over. I memorized the feel of the table edge under my fingertips instead. Oak, nicked, solid. Something to come back to later. We posed for a photo. Someone said my name too loudly. The flash went off, catching the red tab in my purse like a mistake. On the walk home, the air cut clean and sharp. My husband talked about parking and traffic and a promotion rumor. I listened for numbers, dates, anything that did not belong. At our kitchen table, I finally turned the phone face up. The notification still sat there. Patient. I opened the account and scrolled with one finger. Careful, deliberate. Split deposits. Familiar amounts. New destinations. I pulled the red folder out and placed it on the table. I smoothed the top page until it lay flat. The habit steadied me. By midnight, I knew the joke had been a rehearsal, and the proof had a date. The next morning, my alarm went off at 6:10. I lay there listening to my husband's breathing, even and satisfied, like nothing happened. I slid out of bed and padded to the kitchen. The floor was cold. The sink still smelled faintly of lemon soap. I made coffee and lined up my day like I always did. Lunch packed at 6:32. Train card by the keys. Hair twisted up with one pin. Then I opened our joint account again. I sat at the kitchen table and tapped through the deposits. Same amounts. Same timing. Different destinations. I wrote the numbers down on a sticky note anyway. Not because I forgot. Because writing made it real. The transfer was not a mistake. It was a pattern. At the dental office, I smiled until my cheeks ached. I checked in patients. I wiped down counters. I slid fresh gloves from the box and kept my voice steady. Every time my phone buzzed, my pulse tried to sprint. At 12:17, I locked myself in the staff restroom. I held the phone with both hands and took screenshots. The screen reflected my face in the dark glass. Calm mouth, wide eyes. When I got home that evening, my husband was already dressed. Button down, cologne, shoes that meant company. He kissed my cheek like we were still a team. Renee texted, he said, adjusting his cuff. She comped a dessert coupon. He said it like a victory. My fingers found the red folder tab in my bag. I pinched it between my nails and pulled the folder out. Paper rasped against paper, a clean little sound. "We need to talk about last night," I said. He glanced at the folder, then at my face. His smile stayed put, but his eyes sharpened. "Not now," he said. "We're meeting Connor and them again." He said it like my feelings were a scheduling issue. I could have stayed home. I could have made soup and swallowed everything like I usually did. But the dinner already had witnesses. If I was going to stop laughing, I had to start standing where people could see me. We walked back into the same steakhouse at 7:28. The hostess recognized us. Renee appeared with that careful manager posture, shoulders back, smile ready. I felt the table edge under my fingertips again. Oak. Nicked. Solid. I set my phone on my lap and kept my spine straight. Connor was already talking when we arrived. Jada gave me a quick look that asked a question without words. Priya's eyes took in my folder like she knew it meant war. Miles watched from behind the bar, towel in hand, pausing too long on the same glass. My husband slid into his chair like a man sitting in his own story. He lifted his water glass and clinked it lightly. To Elena, he said, who knows how to take a joke. I did not smile. I pulled the red folder onto the table and pressed it flat with my palm. The tab flashed under the overhead light. What was the transfer at 811? I asked. The words came out level, not sweet, not begging. His fork paused mid-air. He looked around the table first, not at me, like he needed the audience. He chuckled and leaned back. Relax, he said, loud enough for Renee to hear from 2 steps away. It's just a joke. She knows her place. My ears went hot. Not because he said it. Because Connor laughed like it was a punchline he could reuse. Jada's chair scraped the floor. Priya's mouth tightened into a hard line. Miles set a glass down too firmly behind the bar. I stared at my husband and felt something in me go clean and quiet. I picked up my phone, turned the screen outward, and set it on the table. Say it once more. On record. The table went still. Even the music felt lower. Renee stepped closer, hands clasped in front of her apron. Is everything all right? She asked, voice professional, eyes sharp. My husband's smile twitched. He reached for my phone like he owned it. I slid it back an inch with 2 fingers. I'm fine, I told Renee. I just need my receipt from yesterday. I looked at my husband again. And I need him to stop moving money. Connor's laugh died halfway. Jada's eyes stayed on my husband like she was ready to stand up. Priya's gaze dropped to the folder, then back to my face, measuring. My husband leaned forward, lowering his voice. Do you want to do this here? He asked. It was not concern. It was control. Yes, I said. Because you already did. Renee nodded once, then held out her hand. Ma'am, if you want a copy of the itemized receipt, I can print it, she said. Her tone was neutral, but her eyes said she had heard enough. My husband's jaw tightened. He tried to laugh again, softer this time, like he could shrink the moment. Babe, he said, you're being dramatic. I opened the folder and slid a sheet across the table. Not the whole truth. Just the first crack. Handwritten times. Amounts. 3 split deposits that landed like footsteps. Priya leaned in, reading without touching. Jada's hand covered my wrist for 1 second, warm and steady. Connor stared at the paper like it might accuse him, too. My husband snatched the sheet. His fingers crumpled the corner. That's nothing, he said quickly. That's normal. His eyes flicked to Renee, then away. Then his own phone buzzed on the table. He grabbed it fast, but not fast enough. I saw the screen light up. A message preview, blurred by the angle. 1 readable line. Temporary move starts Monday. I did not sleep that night. I lay on my side and listened to my husband's shower start at 5:48. Water. Steam. The normal soundtrack of a man who thinks he won. When the bathroom door clicked, I slid out of bed. I took my phone to the kitchen and set it beside my coffee mug. The screen still held that blurred line in my head. Temporary move starts Monday. I opened my work bag and pulled out the red folder. The tab looked harmless yesterday. Now it looked like a blade. The red tab was not paperwork anymore. It was a target. At 7:05, my husband came in, buttoning his shirt. He saw the folder. He did not ask what it was. Big day, he said, voice light. He grabbed a banana from the counter and checked his own phone. His eyes flicked once toward mine, then away. I watched him leave. I waited until his car lights disappeared past the corner. Then I moved. I drove to the bank branch on Diversey, the one with the squeaky glass door. My hands kept smoothing the same corner of the folder on the passenger seat, smoothing papers, counting breaths, staying small. I hated that my body still wanted to behave. Inside, the air smelled like carpet cleaner and warm printer plastic. A man in a navy sweater stood at the counter arguing about a fee. I waited behind him, staring at the poster that promised peace of mind. When it was my turn, I slid my identification across the counter. I did not smile. I did not apologize for needing answers. I need to see who authorized transfers from our joint account, I said. My voice sounded steady, but my fingers shook against the laminate. The banker, a woman with a neat bun and a name tag that read Alina, leaned closer. We can show transaction history, she said carefully. But for authorization documents, she stopped, eyes scanning my name on the card. Are you both account holders? Yes, I said. Married, both on everything. Alina nodded and pulled a drawer open with a soft thunk. She placed a thin stack of printed pages on the counter like they might bite. The top sheet had a subject line in bold, clean letters. I read it once. Then again, slower. Subject: Spousal authorization. Confirmation. Effective Monday. My stomach went cold, like I swallowed ice water. Alina tapped a line halfway down the page. This email thread came through our secure message system, she said. It confirms a change request tied to your joint account. I leaned in, close enough to smell toner. My name was there, my phone number, my address, and under it, a line that made my throat tighten. Requested by husband, verified by wife, voice call. I felt my lips part. I had not made any call. I never verified anything, I said. The words came out flat, like a receipt printed wrong. Alina's eyes flicked up. According to this, she said, a call came in last Friday at 4:22 p.m. She pointed to the timestamp with her pen. Verification completed in 2 minutes. Last Friday, at Patru, 27. My hands gripped the red folder so hard the tab bent. Last Friday at 4:22, I had been in operatory 3 at the dental office. I remembered because the fluoride trays had been late and the patient complained. I remembered because I had texted my husband at 4:26 about picking up milk. I pulled out my phone and searched my messages. There it was. A little bubble with a timestamp. On .26 p.m. Pick up milk. I held the screen up to Alina like it was a badge. I was at work, I said. I did not call you. Alina's expression changed. Not sympathy. Procedure. I need to escalate this, she said. She took the printed pages back with one hand and slid a form toward me with the other. A pen followed, placed down with a click. Fill this out, she said. It starts an internal review. Internal review meant people, calls, questions. A paper trail my husband could not laugh away. I signed my name and felt it land like a decision. When I walked back outside, the wind hit my face hard. I stood by my car and opened the red folder on the hood. The tab was creased now, ugly and honest. I looked at the date again. Last Friday, not my birthday dinner. So why had he needed the joke in public? On the train ride to work, my phone buzzed 3 times. One message from Connor with a laughing face and a, "You good?" One from Jada. I saw his face. Call me. One from Priya. Check your credit. Today. I stared at Priya's text until the letters blurred. Then I did what she said. I sat in the break room at 11:40, phone balanced on my lunch container. I pulled up my credit report and scrolled with one thumb. The screen lagged, then loaded. New account. My name, my address, a balance I did not recognize. And right under the account details, the mailing address was not our apartment. It was a street in the suburbs. A unit number. A place I had never been. I copied it into my notes app. I stared at it like it might explain itself. Then my phone rang. A blocked number. I answered anyway, because my heart was already sprinting. A man's voice came on, polite and practiced. Hello, he said. This is regarding the spousal authorization confirmation. Effective Monday. I tightened my grip on the phone. And one more thing, he added. We need your signature in person. The next day, I ate yogurt at my desk at 7:55. I stared at the spoon like it could give advice. My phone sat under my clipboard, screen down, silent. Every time it lit up, my stomach tightened anyway. I did not tell my husband about the bank. I did not tell him about the new account either. I was done handing him my fear like it was useful. At 9:20, between cleanings, I opened my notes. I reread the suburban address I copied. Unit number, zip code. It looked like a place for storage, not love. I wrote one more line under it. Signature in person. Then I closed the app and went back to work. He wasn't leaving me. He was relocating me. By 4:15, my hands were shaking from pretending. I clocked out, walked to my car, and sat there with the door open. Cold air poured in. I let it hit my face until my breathing slowed. I called Priya first. She answered on the second ring. "Tell me you took screenshots," she said. "I did," I said. I pulled the red folder onto my lap. The tab was bent now, like it had been grabbed. I also got an email subject line from the bank. "Good," Priya said. "Do not forward anything to your husband. Print it." "I cannot print bank messages at the office," I said. "You can print a restaurant receipt," she replied. Her voice stayed calm, like she was reading instructions off a box. "Get the itemized receipt from that dinner. The date matters. The amount matters. The timing matters." My grip tightened on the folder. I thought of the check folder, the candle wax, my husband's smile. I thought of the bank alert at 8:11. "Renee offered to print it," I said quietly. "Then go," Priya said. "Tonight." I hung up and drove back toward the steakhouse. Traffic crawled at the light, and I watched the seconds tick on my dashboard clock. 5:5. 5:5. I kept smoothing the same corner of the red folder without meaning to. When I walked in, Miles was behind the bar, sleeves rolled up. He saw me and froze for half a beat. Then he grabbed a towel and started wiping a glass that was already clean. Renee came out from the host stand, smile polite but careful. Her hands were clasped in front of her apron. "Hi, Elena," she said softly. "Are you okay?" I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone. I did not unlock it. I just held it like an anchor. "I need that itemized receipt," I said, "for my records." Renee did not ask why. She nodded once, like she had already decided where she stood. "Come with me," she said. She led me past the dining room and into a small office that smelled like printer ink and garlic. A corkboard held schedules and handwritten notes. A stapler sat near the edge of the desk, heavy and metal. Renee opened a drawer, pulled out a binder, and flipped pages with quick fingers. I watched her hands, the way she didn't hesitate. She found the entry and turned the computer monitor slightly away from the door. Then she clicked and printed. The printer whirred. A sheet slid out, warm at the edges. Renee picked it up and tapped it straight on the desk. Then she stapled it at the top left. Once. She paused. She looked at the paper again. Then at me. And she stapled it a second time, just below the first. The double staple looked wrong. Like a correction. Like a signal. Renee slid it across the desk. "This is the copy," she said. "The one with the comped item and the adjustment." I stared at the lines. Table number. Time. Server initials. And there, near the bottom, a corrected total that made my throat tighten. The corrected total matched the amount my husband always called untouchable. Not close. Exact. My hand shook as I lifted the paper. The staples scratched my fingertip. "What adjustment?" I asked. Renee's jaw tightened. She pulled the binder closer and pointed to a line. "Your card was not the one that ran first," she said quietly. I looked up. My mouth went dry. "My husband paid," I said. "He tried to," Renee said. Her voice stayed low, like she did not want the dining room to hear. But the payment did not go through. It declined. "So he ran a different card." I blinked. "A different card?" I asked. Renee nodded. "It was in your name," she said, "but it was not the same last 4 digits you used before." I felt the office tilt slightly. Not enough to fall. Enough to realize the floor had been moving for a while. I set the receipt flat on the desk and smoothed it once. The paper made a faint rasping sound. "Can you print the first attempt?" I asked. Renee hesitated. Then she clicked again and printed another sheet. This one had a decline code, a timestamp, 10 and 9 p.m., 2 minutes before the bank alert at 8:11. My pulse thumped hard in my ears. The dinner wasn't a joke. It was a transaction. Renee slid the second sheet toward me. "I should not be doing this," she said. "You are doing it because it is true," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Renee's eyes flicked to the door, then back to me. "He called today," she said. "Your husband." My stomach tightened. "He asked about the cameras," she continued. "He wanted to know how long we keep footage." I stared at her. I could almost see him saying it with that easy laugh. "What did you tell him?" I asked. "The policy," Renee said. 30 days. I slid the 2 papers into my red folder. The tab stuck out like a warning. "Renee," I said, "did he ask about last Friday too?" Renee's face changed. Not confusion. Recognition. "He asked for a copy of a signature," she said slowly. "Something he claimed you signed here." My fingers went cold. I did not sign anything here, I said. Renee reached into her drawer again and pulled out a small envelope. Sealed. A faint embossed stamp pressed into the flap. She set it on the desk, but did not let go. This was left for you, she said. Yesterday, after you walked out. I stared at the envelope like it was alive. My name was written on the front in careful block letters. I slid it toward me, then stopped. Who left it? I asked. Renee's hand stayed on the envelope. Her eyes held mine. Your husband, she said. And he told me to make sure you opened it alone. I opened the envelope at my kitchen table at 9:12. I did not light a candle. I did not make tea. I did not soften the moment. I slid my finger under the flap and tore it clean. Inside was a single page and a pen mark that looked too confident. A signature line. My name printed under it. A box checked beside spousal authorization. My husband had written a note at the bottom in the same neat block letters. Just sign. Monday is easier this way. I stared at the paper until my eyes burned. Then I folded it once, slow, and set it into the red folder. The tab felt like it weighed a pound. At 9:24, I called the bank back. Not the main number. The direct line Alina gave me. When she answered, I said, I have something physical now. I tapped the envelope with my knuckle. It is in his handwriting. Alina's voice went colder. Do not sign it, she said. Bring it in. I will, I said. And I want this on record. I drove to the police station front desk at 10:06, still wearing my work sweater. The lobby smelled like wet coats and old coffee. A television murmured in the corner. A row of plastic chairs held people staring at their shoes. I carried the red folder like it was fragile glass. At the counter, an officer with a shaved head and a name tag that read Officer Dempsey looked up. What can I do for you? He asked. I slid my identification across the counter first. Then I set the folder down and opened it with both hands. Paper whispered. Staples caught the light. My husband is moving money under my name, I said. And someone verified a call I never made. Officer Dempsey's eyes went to the double-stapled receipt. He did not touch it yet. He just stared at the date and the totals. You have documentation, he said. Yes, I said. And witnesses. My throat tightened on that word. Witnesses meant my birthday dinner, my friends' faces, the way Connor laughed. Officer Dempsey reached for the papers. I held up my palm. Before you take it, I said, I need one thing clear. I leaned forward. My name is being used. I am not consenting. He nodded once. Understood, he said. I will log this as a report. A woman at the next window glanced over. Two men in line behind me shifted closer, curious. Public again. Always public. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I did not look. I knew who it was. Officer Dempsey asked, Do you have the bank's confirmation in writing? I do, I said, and slid the printed page forward. The subject line sat at the top like a headline. Subject: Spousal authorization confirmation effective Monday. Officer Dempsey read it, lips pressing together. Requested by husband, he said out loud. Then he paused at the next line. Verified by wife voice call. I watched his face change from neutral to alert. That is false, I said. I pulled out my phone and opened my messages. I tapped the screen and turned it toward him. 26 problemy. Pick up milk. I was at work, I said. 2 minutes after that supposed call. End quote. Officer Dempsey stared at the timestamp, then at me. Okay, he said, voice lower. This becomes a different kind of report. Behind me, someone whispered. I heard my name again, soft this time, like it was traveling. Then my phone buzzed again, harder. A call. My husband. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered and put it on speaker, because my hands were tired of hiding. Elena, my husband said. Sweet and irritated. At the same time. Where are you? I looked at Officer Dempsey. I looked at the folder. I looked at the double staples. At the police station, I said. Silence snapped across the line. What? He said, voice sharp now. I am filing a report, I said. Do not contact the bank again. His breath came loud through the speaker. You are embarrassing me, he said. Two people behind me heard it clearly. The woman at the next window stopped typing. You embarrassed me first, I said. My voice stayed even. I am done laughing. Officer Dempsey held up one finger, like a quiet promise of procedure. Then he asked, Sir, can you state your full name for the record? My husband did not answer right away. When he did, he tried to sound amused. "This is ridiculous," he said. "She is overreacting." Officer Dempsey did not smile. He tapped his keyboard and said, "I am asking again. Full name." My husband exhaled. He gave it. And then, because he could not help himself, he added, "Tell her to come home. Monday is coming." Officer Dempsey's eyes lifted to mine. He reached for the envelope and the page inside it. "Careful now. I need to see that handwriting," he said. I slid it across the counter. The paper brushed my fingertips like a last warning. Officer Dempsey compared the note to the printed email page. Not the signatures, the rhythm of the writing. Then he looked up. "Ma'am," he said, "do you know a woman named Kara Finch?" My chest went tight. Kara Finch was my husband's younger sister, and I had not seen her at the birthday dinner. I stared at Officer Dempsey like he had said the wrong name. My mouth opened, then closed again. My husband's sister was not part of our marriage. Not on paper. Not in my head. Officer Dempsey turned the monitor toward me. He pointed with the tip of his pen. "Steady. Kara Finch," he said. "Her name is attached to a forwarding address request." The suburban unit number I copied at work sat on his screen. Same street. Same zip code. My throat tightened like a drawstring. My husband's voice came through the speaker again, sharper now. "What are you doing?" he snapped. Officer Dempsey lifted a hand, palm out, and ended the call. The sudden silence felt like stepping indoors from wind. "Do you want to add a statement about the envelope?" he asked. I slid the sealed flap back out of the folder. I placed it on the counter like it could not be trusted. "He told me to open it alone," I said. "And he told me Monday was easier." Officer Dempsey wrote, slow and readable. Then he said, "The bank will handle the account freeze process." His voice stayed neutral, but his eyes did not. I signed the report with my own pen. Not his. Mine. I watched the ink form my name like a boundary I could touch. My name was mine again. Outside, the air was cold and clean. I sat in my car and held the steering wheel until my knuckles eased. My phone buzzed 3 times in a row. First, a text from Connor. "Why are cops involved? Are you trying to ruin him?" My eyes went dry reading it. I did not answer. Second, a text from Jada. "I'm coming over. Do not be alone." Third, a message from Priya with one sentence that felt like a rope. "Send me the dinner details. I will talk for you." It wasn't to vid it. I drove home and unlocked the apartment with shaking hands. The kitchen table looked the same as yesterday. Same chair scuffs. Same corner where I always sat. I set the red folder down and smoothed the top page once. Then I stopped myself. That night, Jada came with grocery bags in quiet anger. She put soup on my stove like it was an order. "You are not crazy," she said. "You are not dramatic." I nodded, because words still felt expensive. My phone kept lighting up across the table like a lure. The bank called the next morning at 9:03. Alina's voice sounded crisp, procedural. "We have paused all outgoing transfers," she said. "We have opened an internal review for the verification call." She paused. "And we have documented the handwriting request." I pressed my palm flat on the table edge. Oak, nicked, solid. "What about the new account?" I asked. "We flagged it," Alina said. "It is connected to a secondary address request in another name. Another name I already knew. Kara Finch." I felt my chest tighten, then release, like my body finally believed me. On Wednesday, my husband showed up at my dental office at 4:10. He stood in the lobby holding flowers like a prop. Patients looked up from clipboards. A child swung his feet in a chair. I walked out with my hands empty. "Don't," I said, quiet and firm. He tried the old smile, the one that made people assume I was the difficult one. "I just want to talk," he said. His eyes flicked to the front desk, checking who was watching. Control, even here. I did not step closer. I did not take the flowers. I did not lower my voice. "Put those down," I said. "This is my workplace." The receptionist stared at him like he was a stain. A patient's mother shifted her purse higher on her shoulder. My husband's face tightened. He lowered the flowers to a chair like he did not know what else to do. "You're really doing this," he said. I looked at the clock behind the desk. "Sid Incher Arfin." I thought of last Friday at 4:22, 2 minutes of fraud that tried to become my life. "Yes," I said. "I'm really doing this." He left without another word. The lobby exhaled after he was gone. That afternoon, Priya did what she promised. She did not yell. She did not gossip. She simply sent a clean message to the group chat we all shared. A photo of the double-stapled dinner receipt. A cropped image of the bank subject line. A single sentence under it. This is why Elena stopped laughing. I watched the read receipts pop up, one by one. Connor did not respond for 6 minutes. Then he typed, deleted, typed again. I didn't know, he wrote finally. Jada replied with one word. Now you do. Miles reacted with a single thumbs up from behind his bar. Renee sent a brief line. I will back her statement if asked. It spread the way truth spreads when it has dates and totals. Quiet at first. Then unstoppable. 2 days later, my husband's apology arrived by text at 11:18 p.m. Not a call. Not a knock on the door. A screen-lit confession, without witnesses. I'm sorry for the joke. I never meant to hurt you. I stared at it until my eyes stopped stinging. He apologized for the joke, not the transfers, not the verification call, not the envelope. I set the phone down and did not answer. He apologized too late. The world had already seen. On my next birthday, I went back to the same steakhouse. Not with a crowd, not with a performance. I sat at the patio table near the streetlight, alone, at 7:30. I ordered a small steak and a glass of water. I folded my napkin once and let it stay imperfect. Renee came over herself and set down the check folder with a careful smile. No pity, no questions. Happy birthday, she said softly. Thank you, I said. When the check came, I paid with my own card. No joint account. No shared promises. I took the receipt home and slid it into the red folder. Then I closed the folder and tucked the tab out of sight, not because I was hiding, because the proof had done its job. And I was done living like I needed to convince anyone.